Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Welcome back to Can I Park Here with your hosts, Nashay Snow and
Estrell Riles. Today we'll be speaking with Carrie Rosen, owner of Hot House Market in Lafayette, Indiana. We are super excited to have her on the show today. We're going to find out how Carrie went from working 70 hours a week to quitting her job just so she can spend a little bit more time with her husband and kids. And we'll find out her love for home decor and furniture, how that led to her opening up her own brick-and-mortar store just 3 years ago in 2012. With the goal of reaching a larger customer base, Carrie and her husband decided to just start a mobile boutique in addition to their brick-and-mortar. They're actually in the process of getting that started right now. So if you guys want to listen to the story of how that started, here we go.
Welcome, Carrie.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us this evening. We're really happy to have you on. I love your style. I was just talking to Estrell about your Instagram account, and I told her it just made me smile because I'm a vintage junkie. So, great stuff.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's always good to hear.
I guess to start this off, tell us a little bit about your background, your story. We know that you have a brick and mortar store, so maybe you could talk about that and how you're now about to start a fashion truck too.
I spent years bartending and being a waitress. I've been a flight attendant in the past, and after that I went on to being a catering manager at Purdue University. As I was a catering manager, my husband and I decided to start a family. So after working 70 hours a week in the catering business, I thought, well, I can't do that and be a mother at the same time, so I need to find a new job. My big idea was I thought it would be great to work at Chuck E. Cheese's because I thought that would be a great family environment. And it was a new restaurant opening in town. I worked there and I moved up to being a general manager at the local store here in my hometown. And that ended up to being 70 hours a week, working a ton. I had a little girl at home, and my husband and I never saw each other. So I just up and quit. And then I thought, oh no, now, what am I going to do now? Right. And so it was a couple of weeks later that I thought, well, I've always been into decorating and home decor, and I've always liked old things, and my husband never liked them. So all of that stuff ended up in the garage. So a couple of weeks after quitting my job, I thought, well, I'm going to start selling things on eBay. So I started selling small home decor on eBay, and it just kept growing and growing, and the business just kept getting bigger and bigger until finally my husband quit his job and joined me, and it kind of took off from there. Eventually, we started doing markets and events with vintage home decor and furniture, and that went on for a couple years until we finally opened a brick-and-mortar store. And now we have moved from a little shop on the corner to a year ago we opened a store in our local mall. So we're a vintage store in a mall. We're right next to Sears with Macy's and JCPenney's, and that's where we are right now. And now expanding our business even a little further to include our fashion truck.
Wow. So what year did you open the brick and mortar store?
This will be our third year. So 2012, we opened our little shop on the corner.
What made you decide to expand into a fashion truck?
Well, when we opened our little store on the corner, it was really out of necessity. We actually weren't even intending to open a store. We were running our business out of our home, and there was just too much stuff in the garage. We couldn't park in the garage. We had things in the dining room. So we thought we need a workspace. So we searched for a workspace for about a year and couldn't find anything until we thought, well, we might as well open a store and have our things for sale instead of our things sitting in a warehouse, not available for sale and, only for sale on weekends when we travel to an event or a show. So that's how we opened the store. It was kind of, we weren't really sure what to expect. We had a business plan in place, but we didn't know, what kind of business we would have or what kind of customers we would have, because in our other business, when we traveled to events, we're here in, small town Indiana. We would travel to Chicago to sell, and we traveled once a month to the Brooklyn Flea in New York to sell there, traveled to Nashville. So we kind of, traveled to bigger cities where there were more customers. So it was kind of scary to think, wow, do we have any customers in Lafayette, Indiana? Right. And it's not pretty well. Because when you sold on eBay, it was a kind of a trend that we saw is, hey, we have a ton of customers. We're sending a lot of things to New York. We're sending a lot of things to Chicago. Let's just go to where our customers are.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Them trying to find us.
And I feel like it gives you an excuse to travel too, to get out. It's like mini vacations, even though you're still working.
Right. When we traveled to Brooklyn, the first time my husband and I went, we rented a U-Haul truck, and neither one of us had been to New York City in our entire lives. So just got into the truck and drove. We had the GPS on the phone. And of course, the shortest route is to take, the Lincoln Tunnel right into the city through Manhattan. And we were staying in Brooklyn. So it was like 5:00 on a Friday that we ended up driving through the city for the first time. And it was pretty stressful, but exciting. We didn't know what to expect. And, the whole time we worked. And as soon as the Brooklyn Flea was over, we packed up and started driving home. So for the first 4 or 5 months that we traveled to New York, we never saw anything. We never got to go out to eat anywhere cool because we were driving a giant box truck. You can't really park out in the city there. So we always had to go. We would stay at a hotel out at the airport, so we would have free parking. So yeah, it's it was exciting and fun, but we never really got to do anything exciting while we were there.
How did you actually find your truck that you were going to use? And did you have to do any repairs to it, anything like that?
The truck that we're using right now?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I actually found the truck through a friend of ours who owns a fashion truck. She is in Indianapolis. You know her, Heather from Retro 101.
Oh yeah. I met her last year.
Yeah, so Heather and I have done some events together. She actually came and did a mini event at my little brick-and-mortar store. She knew that I was interested in participating in the Find a Food Truck Festival in Indianapolis this summer, but I didn't actually have a truck yet. But I thought, I'm going to find one. I'm going to do, that festival. A friend of hers had a truck for sale, and so she called and said, hey, there's a truck for sale you might be interested in. So went over and looked at it, and it was perfect. I haven't had to do any repairs, and it's been great. Yeah, it worked out really great. Before that we were actually thinking of getting a van and kind of converting a van into some sort of mobile boutique. I wasn't really exactly sure how we were going to do that, but with our business, we still sell a lot of large furniture, and we make free deliveries in towns. We need to have something too that we can also deliver a sofa to someone's apartment or deliver a table and chairs to someone. So that's where the van idea came. But once I saw the truck, it's a step van that we're using, I thought that's perfect as well.
Okay, so it's like a combo element to it. It's, you deliver your furniture, but still you also have a space to set up your items and sell out of the same.
Right. Okay. Exactly. We're going to make sure there's enough space in the middle aisle that we can put a sofa in there if we need to and take it over to someone's house.
Cool. I would love to have my own truck for home decor and furniture. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, when we first were going to New York, we were renting from U-Haul until finally, they had these little U-Haul trucks out for sale in front of the place where we rented from. We thought, well, let's just buy one because we're spending so much money renting that we ended up buying this old junky U-Haul truck, and we drove that back and forth to New York so many times. with no radio, just my husband and I all the way there, 16 hours there, 16 hours back, no radio.
Oh, wow.
And it got to be where it kind of got to be unprofessional because it was pretty junky. So it was kind of unprofessional to roll up somewhere with, the muffler falling off, and people were constantly asking us like, oh, are you guys moving? People always thought we were moving. It was parked in our driveway at home. They'd be like, oh, are you guys moving? And so that kind of got to be annoying, and it was a little unprofessional. So we thought, we need to make a move to something a little better looking and something more visible that would help grow our business.
Yeah. And, I kind of have, an issue with, because I'm into collecting vintage items too. And I collect mainly mid-century modern type furniture, and I restore furniture pieces as well. And I actually end up losing a lot of money because people pass on purchasing because they have no way of getting the items from me.
Right. But that's, when we were in Brooklyn, that's what we did. We told people free delivery because it made like people would instantly purchase it. They would be like, oh yeah, if you'll bring it over to my apartment, sure, I'll buy it. So we sold so much stuff, and, usually they were only like a mile away. I mean, it was, it took us, 10 minutes in our car, and it was great customer service too. People loved it. We love to go, look and see what people's apartments look like on the inside. What do people live like in the big city? So, having a vehicle to deliver really helped.
Now, do you mind sharing the initial startup costs for your business? Just so that, there are so many other people out there that want to get into this, the mobile boutique business. So they want to know, well, what do I have to do? How much are permits? How much is the average price of a truck? That type of thing. Right.
We purchased our truck for $4,000. We're planning on putting another probably $1,500 into kind of fixing it up and, painting, renovating it. And so, and it helps for us that we already have kind of an established business, so we don't have to purchase a ton of new inventory for it, and we kind of already have some of the items that we need to put into the truck to make it work. Mm-hmm. But it's been pretty affordable for us to expand into a fashion truck.
Now, for your brick and mortar business, were you guys profitable in your first year, or was it not until the second year? Because I feel like a lot of articles I read on that, they say normally you break even that first year, and then that second year you finally are able to pay yourself.
Right. Right. Well, when we started, I feel like when we started our business, I started it when I started selling on eBay. So I invested nothing, really. I had zero invested, and I was only, using what I already had and selling that. And so every dollar that we made, we just kept reinvesting into the business. If we made a little bit of money, we'd buy, more inventory with it. So we never had to make a huge initial investment into our business, but we didn't make money for the first, 4 years. There was never, putting money into the bank, in a savings account. Everything that we made, we were putting back into our business. So I would not say, no, we've not been profitable until now, 4 years later when we, you can't expect to instantly make money in a business. Mm-hmm. It takes time. It takes time to, build your clientele and all kinds of, learn all the lessons you need to learn.
Would you change anything? Would you go back and change anything if you could?
If I could. Man, I mean,
like, crap, I shouldn't have did that.
We have made so many mistakes, and you learn so many lessons along the way. But if you never learned those lessons, you would never have that experience now. So you never know how it would have turned out if you didn't, make all those mistakes before. So no, I don't think that I would have done anything different. It would have been great to maybe like win the lottery. So I had like a ton of money to be able to do everything that I wanted to do. So I'm a perfectionist. So I like, everything to be perfect. I like, everything in its place. I want all my displays to look perfect. But obviously it's never worked out that way. So there would probably be less stress if there were a ton of money in the bank, but
of course.
Yeah. For some of the listeners out there that are in your area or some of the areas you cover, can you tell them a little bit more about like the products you sell?
Yes. We are a vintage boutique and we sell vintage clothes, vintage boots and jewelry, but I wouldn't say we're like vintage. We're more 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So it's kind of like trendy vintage. We do a lot of denim and I love everything flowered. So we do a lot of flowered dresses and, anything that you would find at the mall, in the big box stores or, the boutiques in the mall, we try to, emulate that through, vintage items.
No, that's great. Astrel's always teasing me because I have like this mild addiction to floral. And, but I'm like, hey,
it's
you
ridiculous.
Put floral, it's kind of bad. But
well, then you and I would get along perfectly because, that's kind of how our name came about too. Hot house means greenhouse. And that kind of came from, I love flowered wallpaper. I like flowered couches. I like flowered paintings. I like flowered, dresses. And so I sell what I like. And so there's a ton of flowers in our store.
Love it. Now, do you all ever go overseas to purchase items?
No. Okay. I'd love to. It would be great, but we haven't had that opportunity yet.
So what are some lessons that you've learned in regards to being a small business owner?
I would say that it was a good idea for us to start small. And I think that that's a good idea for those people out there who don't have $50,000 laying around or, can't get a loan from a bank or anywhere else, that it's okay to start small and to grow your business slowly. You don't have to have it all, from the beginning. I would say that was probably a good thing that we have done that's worked out well for us. One thing as a small business owner and just that has worked out well for me in life is that if you want to know how to do something, Google it. So if you were, when I bought the truck, I was, I'm going to paint it myself. So how to paint, an aluminum truck.
Wow, that's major.
When I was thinking about buying a van, a lot of the vans had rust damage. So I watched, like a couple hours of YouTube videos on how to fix, rust on a car. And I'm pretty confident I can do it now. But there's so many things. That's what I always do. If I have a question about anything, just Google it. And there's so much information out there. And you retain it so much better if you learn it on your own instead of asking someone a question or, just expecting get the answer for you. I think I watched like an hour YouTube video on car repair and car painting, and there's some funny videos out there.
Oh, there's a video about everything.
Yes.
Once your fashion truck is up and running, do you have any tactics you're thinking about doing as far as collaborating with local businesses? Like figuring out where to park, or are you thinking about primarily doing events?
We're primarily going to do events, but we are going to collaborate with some other businesses in our hometown. There's a really cool retro barbershop and beauty shop downtown that we'll probably park out in front of and doing a little event with them. There's a couple restaurants and coffee shops that we'll collaborate with. And there's also a little antique store downtown that we've talked to that we love to team up with. So that is our plan so far. We're planning. We've got a lot of festivals lined up for the summer, and we're just going to kind of wing it this first year and see how it goes.
Hey, well, you have a large following already, so I'm sure they'll eat it up and probably come out in support. So that's awesome. Speaking of your large following, you have like 8,000 Facebook followers.
Yes.
How are you able to do that?
Well, one thing that we do in our store is if you take a picture of yourself, with your purchase that or a picture of your purchase in our store, and you post it on Facebook or Instagram, we give you 10% off. And that is the best, best advertising. And the best advertising too is word of mouth. I mean, that's what we love to see is when people bring their friends into our store, or people bring their friends to the market that we go to, once a month. They're like, oh my gosh, I just brought, my 2 friends because I loved your stuff so much last month. I wanted to show them, what also we do too is a lot of times we have $100 giveaway in our store, encourage people to tell their friends. And what they do is, they give us their email and, put it into a hat, and then we pick out a winner at the, after a week. And we do $100 giveaway, gift certificate giveaways a lot. And that just drives the customers and more fans. And we also have a large email list that we, are always building.
Yeah, I think that email list is key. Like I'm always telling people, especially since social networks are so unpredictable. They're here today,
Right.
They're gone tomorrow, or either their algorithm changes, like how Facebook's changed a little bit. Like everybody who follows you might not necessarily see your post. So I feel like the only way you could guarantee that people will at least see your stuff if they choose to delete it or not is through email, like sending out newsletters or, advertising sales or what have you. So no, that's excellent to hear that, that's part of like your tactic too, to keep in touch with customers.
Right. Yeah. Because some people don't, some people aren't on Facebook. Some people aren't on, Instagram. So yeah, trying to catch them at the right time in the right place is hard to do. I mean, we do also pay to boost some of our ads on Facebook as well. And when you do that, you always get a few more new fans on Facebook when you do that too.
Mm-hmm. I have to say Facebook is such a scam. That whole pay to promote thing, I hate it so much.
Yeah,
they're making their money.
Yeah.
It's like Twitter is getting like that too, but at least Twitter doesn't hide your post from others,
Right. Yeah, it's Facebook is a little shifty that way. And we've definitely noticed that if I post a picture on Facebook and I post the same picture on Instagram, we get way more likes on Instagram than we do on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And, we sell things on Instagram really fast too. And
just about to ask you if you did that.
Well, we don't, we'll put it on our Instagram. Hey, there's a new, sofa in the store, and we always put the price. Mm-hmm. I think that's super important that your customers know how much your items are. I mean, it shouldn't be a secret, if you're, selling an item. So we put the price, and sometimes, we get a phone call within like 15 minutes. Hey, I want that sofa, or hey, I want that shirt, that purse, whatever. And yeah, things sell that way, but we haven't actually gone to, hey, leave us your email and we'll, send you a invoice on Instagram yet. But it's a great idea.
Yeah, because we haven't talked to anyone yet who uses, what's that app, Estrell? Is it like Sold See or something? Like people just type sold in all caps,
right?
And then it automatically does something magical.
Well, what I've noticed is that a lot of people, they'll just post an item and say, put your email address, and then they email the person an invoice. So that's really all I've seen. I talked to this one lady. I think she has a vintage store, and she has people set up accounts in the store. Like they'll have their credit card information on file. So if they post something on Instagram for sale, all they have to do is say sold, and then the store will just charge their account and mail it off immediately. Like they don't even have to call the store to confirm or anything. They'll automatically charge their credit card and ship it out. And if for some reason this is a new customer and their card is not on file, they just type sold in the comments and then call the store to give them their card.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me how people are getting really creative with Instagram, because it does frustrate me with Instagram that you cannot put links under photos. I'm like, just give us that ability. It's like I get tired of putting link in profile.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, how many people are clicking that link?
Right. That's not the link to that shirt for sale, but yeah.
Right.
Well, if you use a Bitly link, you can track how many clicks it gets.
Yeah, and that's what I ended up doing for our Find a Fashion Truck Instagram account. I just used Owly, and I'm like, well, it's kind of bootleg, and I only say it's bootleg because I liked having findafashiontruck.com or startafashiontruck.com there instead of like OWL dot because I'm like, will people think like, is this spam? Do I want to click on this link? But that's really the only way we could track it.
So, what's your best selling item at the store?
I would say our clothing has become our best selling product. Like I said, when we first started out, we sold furniture, home decor, and we started adding a little bit of clothes, and we added a little bit more clothes, and now it's our best seller. And that's why because when you're selling home decor, not everyone's always going to be searching for a sofa. Not, you only buy a sofa once every 10 years or whatever, but everyone, all of the girls are always shopping for clothes, and everyone's always buying clothes. So it was a good move for us.
Well, I think it's great that because most, places that sell furniture wouldn't be able to do that. But since kind of your theme is kind of like 50s and 60s, you could sell anything under that theme. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be just furniture. So I think that was a pretty genius idea because it allowed you all to expand.
Right. That was kind of our thing with the name of our business. So we didn't want it to be, Hot House Vintage or something with vintage, because we wanted to be able to evolve over time, and kind of that's why we added the market too, because we wanted to be able to add, any kind of item that we wanted to. We didn't want. At first, I was thinking I wanted it to be like something home or something to do with furniture, and I thought, hey, we need to have something that's more something that will be able to grow with us over time. So
that's a good idea, because a lot of businesses make mistakes with their business name, and then a couple years into it they have to rebrand themselves and change their name or their logo or whatever, because they didn't really think it through.
Yeah, that's what we didn't want something that was trendy. We wanted something that was somewhat timeless.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what we've been able to do is, I started out just selling the things that I liked. And when I first started too, I wouldn't be able to sleep when we did an event or a market. And I would drive my husband crazy because I'd be like, what if nobody likes our stuff? What if nobody likes it? He would be like, oh my gosh, we'll find out tomorrow. But I'd be like, well, what if nobody buys anything? And so I found that, if I sell what I like, there's other people out there that like the same thing. So that's what, slowly over time, we're like, hey, we like records, let's see if people buy records. Hey, we like record players too. So my husband's been able to start selling, the kinds of things he likes. He likes typewriters and cameras and all that, manly vintage stuff. So we've been able to add all of that, and it's been great.
No, it's amazing pieces. Like typewriters too. It's something about typewriters. I mean, it's like, of course, will you ever use it? No, but it looks great sitting on a shelf, sitting on a dresser. I feel like it just adds something to the room.
Do you have any pink or purple ones?
We don't. We've had one pink.
Well, you have to let me know if you get anything bright and colorful like that in again.
I will, for sure.
Now, I have a question for you, and you might still be figuring this out since you haven't launched a fashion truck yet. But one of the number one questions that we get at findafashiontruck.com is what point of sale system to use. A lot of women they're kind of conflicted because they have a brick and mortar store and then they have a fashion truck too, and they want to make sure that they don't accidentally sell something one place and it's not accounted in the other place. Do you have kind of a point of sale system that you're going to be able to use, in the store and the fashion truck yet, or are you still trying to figure that out?
Well, since all of our items are one of a kind, we don't inventory each one. If we sell a shirt, it's a shirt. So it's easier for us to be able to sell, both places. And so we just, do it old school point of sale system. So I don't think I would be able to help with anybody, most girls who sell new merchandise who, have a code
six
for everything.
Dresses that are the same or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you have like a favorite, like Square or like the Etsy app or PayPal app or anything like that?
We use Square and we use PayPal.
Square and PayPal. Okay.
Yeah. Square is easy, to send someone an invoice who may not use PayPal, or it's just easier if they give you your email, you can just send them an invoice, super easy. But, people like to use PayPal too because it has that little extra protection as a buyer. If they have a problem with their purchase, it's easy to resolve it through PayPal.
And I think those are the two most popular. Like I have an account with both. So if a vendor anywhere has the two of those, then I feel like my credit card isn't going to go into some black hole for someone to buy a radio. Or do anybody? I guess people don't buy radios anymore. They don't
buy radios.
We were talking vintage here. Okay, vintage radios.
We sold the radios.
See?
We just started selling tapes too. Not only do we sell records, but we sell tapes. And you have no idea how many people are buying tapes now. It's crazy.
Now, that's interesting, because what's that movie that came out? Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if you saw that, but
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's an awesome movie, really funny. I'm a sci-fi junkie too, but he had a mixtape that his mom passed down. And I swear, ever since that movie came out, I see mixtapes everywhere. Even for my husband, I got him a Valentine's Day card that had a mixtape Velcro to the card. He has no way of playing the tape. No way of playing it. Now, so do you all sell like something that could play it too, or are people just buying tapes just to have them?
Yeah. If we can find boom boxes, we would sell boom boxes all day long. And, we like the look out of them. They're super cool, but people are into boom boxes and they sell really fast. So we do sell those. So, what also you find is, people who like vintage clothes and vintage furniture also like vintage cars. So their cars still have tape players in them. So when they see that we have tapes, they go crazy and like to buy the tapes to play in their cars.
Wow. So we're coming to the end of the episode, and we have 3 questions in our rapid round. So whatever comes to mind, we ask you just to kind of blurt it out, and then we'll finish up with a couple of final questions.
Okay.
So the first rapid round question is, if you could have any celebrity, entertainer, model, mentor, whoever in your new mobile boutique, who would you choose?
Katy Perry.
Ooh, yeah, she has a funky style. She'd probably go wild.
And she seems really nice too, like genuine.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be all celebrity.
Right.
She wouldn't be all diva.
What advice do you have for maybe fashion trucks thinking of opening a brick and mortar store?
Ooh. Don't be afraid to start small and make sure you have a good business plan.
And last but not least, are you Android or iPhone, and what is your favorite app?
Ooh, I'm definitely Android.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because I've never been able to afford an iPhone.
They are expensive.
Just because I'm poor, not because I think the iPhone's bad. Oh my gosh, my favorite app is the Beautiful Mess app. Yeah, Pickle Mess. That one's so good for your Instagram.
I didn't know they had an app.
Me neither, because their blog is awesome.
Mm-hmm. They have a really cute app that you can put words and borders on your Instagram pictures.
Oh, I'm going to download that right now. I was actually thinking about taking they have this photography class. It's like an intro to photography for the SLR cameras. And I really, really, really want to take it.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you take all of your own photos, or do you all have a photographer take photos of your pic that might go onto the website or other places?
We take all of our own photographs. I mean, we did hire a professional photographer to do our headshots, but I was a photography major in college.
Oh,
My
cool.
husband's also very artistic, and one of the girls, Melissa, that works for us, she was a fine arts major in college as well. So we're a little artsy at Hot House.
What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
I would definitely want to open a vintage store / restaurant.
Ooh.
Really? How would that work out? Like, what type of... I'm not sure how it would work out. I don't know, but I think it would be cool. That's one, and it's not a problem that we have, but one thing that people always say, and they've started to do at our new store, is they're like, oh, if I could just live here, but can I just hang out here? People like the feel and the vibe of our store. It feels homey and cozy, and there's always low lighting, and a lot of the high school kids like to just like sit on the couches at our store on the weekends, which is great because I'm sure they're not doing that at any other store, but it kind of makes some of the customers feel weird. But I think that if we had a restaurant or a bar, we could kind of, combine the feeling of our store and kind of make it like a you know how they have the Cracker Barrel with the store in the front, and then you go in the back.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
But a bar and some alcohol mixed in always makes for more fun.
Right. Yeah, and actually, it'll bring in different crowds too, because you might have somebody come in just for food or for the bar, and then they see something that they want to buy. Oh, I like this sofa, or I like this T-shirt,
No, I think I can't even tell you how much money I've spent at Cracker Barrel waiting for a table, because I'm like, oh, this shawl is nice. It's going to be kind of cool today. Let me pick this up. Look at these salt and pepper shakers. Somebody's going to love these. Let me just go ahead and get it and give it to Estrell for Christmas.
Thanks.
But we'll finish up with where can the audience find you?
Well, our store is located in Lafayette, Indiana, in the Tippecanoe Mall, right next to Sears. This summer we'll be at the First Friday Food Truck Festival every month in Indianapolis. Hopefully we will be at Lollapalooza again this year in Chicago. You'll find us popping up, hopefully Chicago, Nashville this summer. But you can find our event schedule on our website at www.hothousemarket.com.
Perfect. And we'll make sure to include those links in the show notes.
Yeah. If you come to Chicago for any craft fairs or anything like that, send us an email, because I'd love to, stop by and check out your truck. Okay, cool.
Is that where you are? Are you in Chicago?
Yes, Nashay's in Maryland, and I'm in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
That's why I saw Heather from Retro 101. I saw her at what was it?
She did Randolph, right? Did she do Randolph Street?
No, it was actually in Lansing. I want to say Fetching Market.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so and I love craft fairs, so I'm usually at most of them. So if you happen to, be at one, just send us a message and I'll try to, come say hi or something like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm wondering, do you go to Renegade?
Yes. I'm actually trying to be a vendor. They're having a pop-up in July, or is it June? I think it's June. They're having a pop-up. I forget the location, but the applications just became available yesterday.
Ooh, awesome. Yeah, so I wonder if
I don't get into that one, then I'll do the one for September.
Right. Have you done it before?
No. And I'm a little nervous, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nerve-wracking, isn't it, when you have to pay like a ton of money for a booth and you don't know how it's going to go?
Right.
Yeah.
And their vendor fee is $250, and that's just for half of a booth. But if you want a full booth, it's $500.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Eesh.
Yeah, I just talked to the lady from Summerfest. Have you ever been to Summerfest before in Milwaukee?
I haven't heard of that one.
It's a huge music festival. It's 11 days, which is really long.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
their booth fees were like $5,800 for a 12.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, I don't think that's the right fit for us. But yeah, I mean,
that's
That 250 is looking kind of good.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wow, 58? That's like, well, I guess they're expecting a ton of traffic.
They said over 11 days they get 900,000 people. I mean, it's the world's largest music festival.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But so that's I'm sure, some people are selling t-shirts, tons of t-shirts or whatever. I'm sure they do really well. But yeah, that's pretty steep.
Well, even preparing the inventory for something like that, I think if it's your first time, you don't know how much product that you should even bring. And if you're coming from a different state too, it's like you have what you have. Hopefully you sell it because you've invested into making or buying all this product. And so it's truly a gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. The first year that we did the Country Living Fair, we totally screwed ourselves because we didn't bring enough inventory. So it was like the first day we sold.
And so what happened? Did you have to leave?
No, I mean, we sold, so much stuff the first day that I called my sister and was like, you need to come, bring some stuff. We didn't even have anything. My sister was pulling, my sister's really into vintage and she has a bunch of stuff in her garage. So yeah, she came with a truckload of her stuff that she wanted to sell from her garage. It was crazy. And it was, obviously then it was a bad investment on our part because Country Living booth fees were, I think it was $1,800 for, a booth for 3 days. Plus you have to, we had to pay for the gas to get there, plus hotel, we're in a hotel for 4 nights. So, it's a huge investment. So that was one of the big lessons learned too, is make sure you bring enough inventory when you're doing a big event. One of the things too, I was going to say, as far as events or markets, one of the lessons that we've learned is pay your booth fee at the very last, when the deadline hits, then pay your fee, because sometimes things come up or, things happen and you have to cancel.
Yeah, I agree. And I was thinking about that.
You don't get that money back. Because we've learned too that over the years, a lot of people who say, oh, you better pay now because spaces are filling up fast. It's usually not the case. It's usually kind of the opposite. It's pay now because we're desperate for vendors,
Right. And we just want to make sure that we have enough for this event.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then most of the vendors, even Renegade, their applications went available, I think it was yesterday, but they close April 24th. So you mean to tell me if I pay today, I'm not going to get a response back that I'm accepted or rejected until after April 24th. So where's my money going? I could just hold on and apply on April 24th.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. All of this business stuff is tricky.
Yeah, it is.
For sure.
That's why we have to help each other out. Well, thank you, Carrie. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to help launch the podcast. And yeah, we can't wait to see how the truck turns out and post you on findafashiontruck.com.
Yes, it was great talking to you guys too. Thank you for having me.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I think she had a lot of great tips. And for those of you already starting from eBay or Amazon and thinking about expanding into other areas like having a brick and mortar or a fashion truck, I think she gave some really good tips on how to do that and some of the obstacles that you have to overcome. So we hope this episode was helpful.
Yeah, and I think what I got out of it was Carrie's realistic expectation of, making a profit and building a clientele. She, like most people that I know with their own business, pretty much reinvested all of their profits for a while back into the business. That's what I see happening a lot because, like, even Nashay, it takes a while to make, a profit when you first start a business, maybe 2-3 years, sometimes longer, depending on, what market you're in and what you're selling. So I think that, we got good information from her.
Yeah, so just remember, be passionate about whatever you start because it's a long road ahead.
And, guys, don't forget to go sign up for our newsletter on findafashiontruck.com. We're going to be doing newsletters every month, so you don't want to miss that. And if you get a chance, go to iTunes and rate us, subscribe, and leave a review. We'd really appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Can I Park Here? And we hope that you tune in next time. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.